Yeah, man, and it's crazy because it's like you said, like back in the days, there was at least A&R departments. They were, you would sign to a label, and because it even actually parallels with something you said about like how you guys were the first dudes to sign major distribution. You're like, yeah, we had to make that mistake for the rest of y'all to have a blueprint to follow and to learn after. You're like, I still ain't seen a royalty from. I think it was the bridge maybe you're talking about, but you're like, but these are the mistakes we had to make in order to build an industry and for there to be something that you guys could learn from. You know what I mean? But it's like nowadays, there's not even that. Like they just want to find you if you're popping and then leech off you basically. Like you already got to be doing everything yourself. And then they're just it's just basically a cosign. You know what I mean? And like, give us a percentage, we'll co-sign you. Maybe we'll throw you on the hottest playlist and stuff.
Because they have the avenue to make it go bigger.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They have the avenue to go bigger with it. So that is very tempting to an artist. That's what you always wanted.
Yeah.
You want that, be able to go bigger, but is it worth the price?
Yeah.
If you sell merchandise, if you do any of that, they get a piece of that. What the fuck? I've been selling these t-shirts on my own for fucking how long? I'm getting my own bread on that. Now all of a sudden I sign a record deal with you, but now you want part of my t-shirt business? What the fuck? How does the two coincide?
Yeah.
360 deal.
And in hindsight, actually, too, I'd like to ask, like, because being that you guys kind of were pioneers of the blueprint of, like with what Cold Chillin' did with Warner Brothers is very, in a sense now, kind of what like Rockefeller did with Def Jam, except, they had years to learn the business and see the mistakes of those in the past. And you said yourself, a fool learns from his own mistakes. A wise man learns from someone else's mistakes. So they almost, it's almost like they learn from your mistakes. But in hindsight, if you could go back now and look at it, like, would you sign that Warner Brother deal the way it was still for hip hop to be able to learn from your guys' mistakes and became what it did? Or would you change kind of the way you went about it?
No,
you wouldn't.
At this point where it's at, I don't even want to imagine the paradox.
Yeah.
I don't even want to imagine the paradox if I would have made another record about Chris. You know what I'm saying? That's a paradox that had to be. And I don't want to know what the paradox would have been if I did this different. Or that would have happened, or I didn't sign that. And in actuality, where I'm sitting right now today just lets me know that I've made a lot of good motherfucking choices in my life. Because if you look at my hands, there are no calluses on them. They smooth as hell. That means I ain't did a hard day work in my life. Look at that. I look like baby hands.
Yes, sir.
Not at all. You know what I'm saying? So that tells me I made good choices. I wake up when I want to. I go to sleep when I want to. I don't do nothing if I don't want to. I drink whistles all goddamn day.
Hey.
You know what I'm saying? And so with that being said, I think that people measure their success by money and the shit they got around them. I measure my success by, am I living my life the way I want to live it? I got a little bit of money, but I like being around my kids, the things I do for my kids. Yeah, taking trips, going here, blah, blah, blah. That's success to me.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So look at Shan and say, Shan, your career was bust. It was bum. I've been around my kids since they was young. I raised them all. When they go to school, I'm there. When they come home from school, I'm there. I go away on weekends, go do show, come back, boom, got the bread, bad of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's a quality not many people, whether in the industry and quote unquote successful by money means, or people just work regular jobs. That's not something very many people can say, is that they have been able to be present with their family from, you know what I mean, from the jump, from their children's birth right through. And that's one thing I really respect about you too, and how you're so public with it too. Like every day you're posting stuff about your kids, what's going on around the crib, building the bus and stuff. That shit was cool, all that. But I really commend you for just like, for one, not just being a family man and being there and being present and like, like, let's be honest, man. You know what I mean? You produced Informer. And Con Calma was the biggest record. What was it, last year, the year before? You know what I mean? Like
19.
You could have been gone from home doing a ton of shit if you wanted to be, but you weren't. You stayed at home and you're like, nah, this is success to me. And that's one thing I commend you for a lot, man. And I think a lot of people could take a lesson from that. You know what I mean? Because it's like you said, monetary gain isn't what you should measure success by. Happiness is. And being at home with the people you love, that's happiness. You know what I mean?
Listen, let me put it this way. Happiness and comfortability. You can't just be happy and be broke. That shit ain't gonna work.
You do gotta have money to stay at home. That's a fact.
Yeah, you gotta have a little bit of bread to sustain that motherfucker. So let me clear that up. You know what I'm saying? You have had to make some good choices along the fucking way.
100%.
Yes, sir.
100%, man. You know, and I keep getting sidetracked, you know, because we just be talking, and then it makes me think of something else. But I do want to go back to Down by Law, man, because like I said, this album, to me, I think, I really think it, like, to me, if you had to ask me now, I don't know if these guys would agree, but I almost think, like, the way you described, like, each song you approach differently, you had a different style, it had a different vibe, a different concept. Like, I kind of think, even though you worked very closely with Marley Marl with that album and stuff, I think that, in a sense, is kind of like the blueprint of what many people regard the greatest hip hop album of all time, Illmatic. It's like the way you approach Down by Law, I almost see a young Nas approaching Illmatic. You know what I mean? That though he had different producers for majority tracks, but a different style each track, a different, you know what I mean, approach on thing, a different concept. You know what I mean? And like, I just, you know, and that's another reason why I got to say, man, Down by Law to me, I think is one of the most ahead of its time albums that doesn't get the credit it deserves for what it is. You know what I mean?
You know what? I'll fall in a class that's kind of fucked up. I'm like in a class by myself. Why?
Yeah.
Why would I say that? Because you got the old school guys that came before me, right?
Yeah.
That had their shit. All right. And then you got my little era, right? Where it was like boom, boom, boom. Like LL and Ron, they still came before me. Them motherfuckers was cutting edge fucking rap music, Def Jam. What the fuck? You know what I'm saying? But now you got Shan. I come in the year like, and then you got 90s rap. I don't fit in with the 90s rap. They don't classify me as a 90s rap. I'm classified as an old head, but not old school way. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm in a fucking lane that's just like dormant in space.
MC Space. MC Space, bro. You're in MC Space.
Right.
On a track, 2 blunts in a sack, 3 bundles of crack, we better move. We starting to wild up, fuck these bird motherfuckers, make the flock of them fly. So I got a lot of clout, got a lot of props from how I walk, what I talk about. It's my check, come on. It's 2-step, come on. It don't matter what's said and who you rap, come on. But with my mind on my money, yeah, my money on my mind. I get mine, I get mine, I get mine, I get mine.